Hello, and welcome to the Pittsburgh City Council's Standing Committee meeting for December 18th, 2019. My name is Chris Dotson, and with us today is Sarah Pelk, our sign language interpreter. City Council will discuss the following legislation for a preliminary vote. Finance and Law Committee, Reverend Burgess is the chair. Deferred paper, 2019-2356. Resolution authorizing 82 open-end professional service agreements with multiple vendors to provide professional services in 12 categories of work on call basis as required related to the assessment, design, construction, and maintenance of city's infrastructure, buildings, and lands as needed by the various departments of the city of Pittsburgh. Each agreement being at an amount not to exceed $2,500,000 annually for 2 years, for a 2-year term, with up to 2 additional 1-year options and providing for funding of the costs thereof. Bill number 2019-2357, resolution authorizing 126 open-end professional services agreements with multiple vendors to provide professional services in 22 categories of work on an on-call basis as required related to the assessment, design, construction, and maintenance of the city's infrastructure, buildings, and lands as needed by the various departments of the city of Pittsburgh, each agreement being at an amount not to exceed $750,000 annually for a 2-year term with up to 2 additional 1-year options and providing for funding of the cost thereof. Bill number 2019-2383, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title I, Administration, Article 9, Human Resources, Chapter 192, Pensions, Municipal Benefit Plan Number 2, Section 192.26, Pension Allowance by adding 192.6, eliminating the Social Security offset for non-union employee members who are elected officials. Urban Recreation Committee, Mr. Coghill is the chair. Deferred paper, 2019-2319. Resolution calling for transparency and oversight in regards to previously approved cooperation agreements, contracts, leases, and special agreement with the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy in light of a voter-approved referendum measure to amend the Home Rule Charter. This concludes the reading for December 18th, 2019. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Good morning and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council Standing Committee meeting of Wednesday, December 18th, 2019. Our first order of business is public comment. Members of the public who want to address City Council, please come forward. You'll be given 3 minutes. The green light means the beginning of 3 minutes. Yellow light means 1 minute to summarize. Red light means your time has expired. Please relinquish the podium. I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comment is limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation, which may or may not be before council, which may or may be before council. Profanity will not be permitted, and order will be maintained at all times. First speaker, please. First speaker, please.
Here's Ms. Brown. You can wish me a happy birthday. I'll be 87 on the 30th. It's a pleasure to be here, Mr. President. And my name is Les Ludwig, and I live 6589 Rosemore Street in Squirrel Hill. What brings a guy out at this age in this blustering cold weather is a driving force that keeps warning, screaming for attention, and that is this mess that our country faces with the impeachment. I stood here before you and wrote or spoke of a disaster of such economic proportion that my birthday year, 32, would look like child's play. When this man, if he were to leave office, and that's the big question, whether someone in the Senate will turn the Republicans against him. What will he do to help himself? There's a technique in stocks called sell short, and that calls for a drastic drop in the market. And we're not talking here about 200 points or 600. It could be 1,000 to 15. So we're sitting on the top of a pinnacle, and it's false. He's had his thumbprint on every person of any stature in Washington, and he holds the key to their income, and therefore the cattle will run to break into a meeting that was closed, and therefore they'll do almost anything. Or are we going to face an actual physical coup? So I come to you hoping that each of you would in some way take a stand and say, no more. We've got to get rid of the problem. If not today, at the polls. And with that, I thank you for your time and wish you well for the holiday season. Goodbye.
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live in Hill District. And I wanted to say to Carmen, thank you to a sister that's in the struggle, that's trying to eliminate this same race discrimination that Mr. Burgess has put upon us. But one thing, I want to say something. This is what's really bothering me. Now, you brought the new clerk. The new clerk said you must sign up by 10:30 in order to speak. So we have a meeting. It's at 1. Krause is standing there talking to the people at the table. He ain't started the meeting yet. He's talking to them. In walks a white man with a helmet. He stops. Sir, what are you here for? He said he's going to speak. He's asking him a question. I said, come on, Mr. Mr. Krause. It's after 1, and you haven't started the meeting yet. I'm running this meeting, he says. So I speak. After I speak, he goes through. If you don't sign up, you only get immediate 1 minute. But then he said, but sir, I signed you up. He signed them after 1. You got to sign up before 10:30. He signed up right there. He got 3 minutes. There's another time I sat through 15 people speaking because I was number 1. There was 30-something. 15 had already spoken. Sat through 15. In come a white man, a male. This crowd sees them. They acknowledge each other. So it's my turn. I'm walking up to the front because they didn't went through. Didn't he call this man? And he's number 2. I'm 1. This council president needs to be impeached like the president. And maybe we should start it. Because you know what? I will start a one-woman campaign. Because you know I come here for 20-something years. Now, he brought this woman from down south. The city of Pittsburgh, there's employees saying you had to be from the city of Pittsburgh in order to apply. How can the police must live in the neighborhood and she's from down south? Anytime Kim was here 29 years, She got a degree. You gave her a proclamation. We go on vacation. I read in the paper that she's learning. Oh, she's a very quick learner. How can she learn our laws? She knows Georgia's laws. She don't even know that you have to write in big writing. I took it to the state. The state has it. I used to work for the state. And it says that the writing must be large. Do you hear that? Not little tiny. It looked like little ants that she made the decision. But it goes to show you that Krause don't care about what she said. She said 10:30. You registered him after 1. Do you understand? You did that on purpose because he heard Kim say it. He told me, stop her, when I was talking about Adrian Young. As he ran out the door, Kim said, Miss Brown, I must do what he says. I seen that look. So he was determined she would not make it. That was revenge.
Next speaker, please. Next speaker, please. After that pleasant announcements today, let's now move to the roll call. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Coghill. Here. Mrs. Gross. Mrs. Harris.
Here.
President Krause.
Here.
Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. O'Connor.
Here.
Mrs. Kell-Smith. Mrs. Strasburger. Here. Reverend Burgess.
Here.
7 members present.
Start with Finance and Law Committee, which I am the chair. We have a recommitted paper.
Bill 2281, resolution authorizing the fee schedule for 2020 pursuant to Chapter 170 of the City Code.
I need a motion.
Motion to approve with brief discussion.
Need a second?
Second. May I?
Yes.
There's an amendment to be offered up from Councilwoman Kell-Smith. There are 3 adjustments under shelter operations on page 1, and that is the only change. And so I offer up a motion to amend.
Is there a second?
Second.
I didn't hear it. Okay, second. All right, all those in favor of the motion to amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's nay. Any more discussion? We're back to the original bill. Any more discussion on the original bill? Seeing no discussion on the original bill, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's nay. Takes us to the next paper, please. Deferred paper.
Bill 2356, resolution authorizing 82 open-end professional services agreement with multiple vendors to provide professional services in 12 categories of work on an on-call basis as required, related to the assessment, design, construction, and maintenance of the city's infrastructure, buildings, and lands as needed by the various departments of the city, each agreement being at an amount not to exceed $2,500,000 annually for a 2-year term with up to 2 additional 1-year options and providing for funding of the cost thereof.
Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Need a second?
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 2357, resolution authorizing 126 open-end professional services agreement with multiple vendors to provide professional services in 22 categories of work on an on-call basis as required, related to the assessment, design, construction, and maintenance of the city's infrastructure, buildings, and lands as needed by various departments of the city, each agreement being at an amount not to exceed $750,000 annually for a 2-year term, up to 2 additional 1-year options, and providing for funding of the cost thereof.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second? Second. Conversation. Anything, Mr. President Cross? If not, Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I was very happy to have a meeting yesterday with, I think, every department impacted by this legislation. So I really appreciate everybody coming over so that we could talk it through. So I think we said yesterday kind of all the same things that we said at the table last week, which is that there are upsides and downsides to changing this process. And council asked for this, as members pointed out last week, that we do these, what we call RFQs, like a request for qualifications rather than a request for full proposals, because it allows smaller and more local firms to have an opportunity to participate in municipal contracts. And we've seen the results being incredibly positive at our authorities. I think the URA is shifted and the PWCA has definitely shifted to some of this kinds of contracting. The concern for council is that once we approve these qualifying companies, the contracts, these qualifying companies, is that we won't be at the front end of contracting with them and the particulars of the contracts. the public and council will have eyes on it at the back end because they will be posted on the controller's website as is everything else. So what I suggest, and furthermore, that these kinds of contracts that we're being asked to, the companies we're being asked to qualify here, really impact mainly DPW, the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, some PLI, and a little bit of planning department as well. So it isn't, every single department, law department, finance department, all kinds of other kinds of contracts. These are really about getting tangible construction projects, both expedited and also making them more available in smaller pieces to local companies so that we can help grow their capacity, especially with MBE and WBE. So we understand the upsides. I suggest that council just kind of revisits this. We will be getting monthly reports on them as well. And so I just wanted to acknowledge for the public and for council that if at any time we are unhappy with the process, we can also amend the way we're doing these kinds of things. So I'm happy to support them this week. Thank you for letting me kind of share my thoughts openly, because I do want us to keep in mind that for large projects like these especially, we should have closer eyes on the way that they are contracted so that we know they aren't being, the risk in the worst case scenario is that requests for proposals are going out in a kind of tailored way that only a couple firms can respond to. So this is to counteract that, but we want to make sure that we have eyes on it. That's all. Thank you.
Well, I usually don't give much comment, but thank you, Councilwoman Gross. You have the ability to understand complex things and explain it in a simple manner. We do appreciate that. You are your council's translator, right? For me and Mr. Coghill, right? You're able to take these things and translate them. We appreciate that. We have a motion to approve on the table. Any other conversation? See no, Mr. Coghill?
I just wanted to comment on that. I had some conversations over the past week about the 4th Division that me and Mr. Kraus are so interested in, and simple things, again, like getting a surveyor there, getting the right engineer there to do whatever they need to do. I find this pot of money useful and makes it expedient, and we don't have to go through the process, and they can get people on the ground right away. And, the safety gaps are there, the measures are there as far as per contractor as to how much, per cycle that they can actually, be rewarded in contracts. So I support it.
Thank you very much. Any other conversation? Seeing no conversation, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next bill, please.
Bill 2383, ordinance amending and supplementing the Pittsburgh Code of Ordinances, Title I, Administration, Article 11, Human Resources, Chapter 192, Pensions, Municipal Benefit Plan Number 2, Section 192.26, Pension Allowance, by adding 192.26P, eliminating the Social Security offset for non-union employee members who are elected officials.
Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Conversation, Ms. Harris.
I have no conversation other than I thought there was an amendment to this.
Will not be an amendment to this. In a moment, I'm going to ask for a motion to table.
Okay.
Any other conversation? See no conversation, I will now entertain a motion to table.
Motion to table.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Cargill.
No.
Mrs. Gross.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
No.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Mrs. Kell Smith. Mrs. Strasburger. Aye. Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
6 ayes and 2 noes.
Thank you very much. Takes us to the invoice. Any motion for the invoice?
Motion to
Need
approve.
a second.
Second.
Conversation about the invoices. See no conversation about the invoices. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's a nay. There are, get to it. I know there are P cards on the table and they're both on the table, so I'm trying to, takes me a minute to get to it. I will get to it though. Interdepartmental transfers on the table. Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, there's nay. P cards on the table. Need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Any conversation? No conversation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Last committee of the day is Urban Recreation Committee. Mr. Coghill is the chair. We have a deferred paper.
Bill 2319, resolution calling for transparency and oversight in regards to previously approved corporation agreements, contracts, leases, and special agreements with the Pittsburgh Parks Conservancy in light of a voter-approved referendum measure to amend the Home Rule Charter.
Need a motion, Ms. Gross.
It's the Councilman's Committee.
Ms. Cockey, I'm sorry. Ms. Cockey, I'm not sure what you guys are doing. Need a motion?
Yeah, motion to hold,
How long?
2 weeks.
Motion to hold 2 weeks, or a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. I think we have exhausted the agenda. I will read the announcements and then take information from, let me just, I'm not sure whether or not for the next, depending on the administration, we may or may not have an agenda for Monday's meeting, depending on what comes over. And so if we do not have an agenda, then we will not have a meeting on, depending on, we don't have to have a meeting on the standing committee, we have to have the regular meeting. But if the standing committee, if there's nothing on the agenda at the 1:30 meeting, that's the working meeting, we don't have to have one of those.
So, may I?
Yeah, sure.
So that means we'd still meet our legal requirement for the number of meetings we have to have a year? For regular. So the only requirement, forgive me, is regular meetings?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I am introducing one piece of zoning legislation.
Okay, that's good.
That,
That's what I said. I don't know the administration. I talked to them. There's some possibility that they're going to bring some things over on Monday too.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, if there's things to dispose of, we will have the meeting, of course. If there's not things, we already know there will be, so I'll leave that
I'm going to
alone.
throw a monkey wrench in there, I apologize.
That's okay.
Just
Due to
one more.
upcoming Christmas and New Year's holidays, council will meet on the following days. Monday, December 23rd at 10 a.m., and now for sure, 1:30 p.m. for the regular and standing committee meetings respectively, and Monday, December 30th at 10 a.m. for the regular and last meeting of 2009 and the decade. There will be no meetings on Tuesday, December 4th, Wednesday, December 25th, Tuesday, December 31st, or Wednesday, January 1st. I need a motion to excuse the absent member, approve the minutes, and adjourn the meeting. Wait, I'm sorry, before that, any conversation?
Motion to excuse the absent member and adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. We are adjourned.